It depends what your degree is.
Theater.
Well, maybe mockery of.
You didn't hear my.
All right,
I
Job
cannot work with that
14.
man.
Job's 3 friends were old men, and their advice was not the best, especially for a man sitting atop an ash heap. What Job needed was a helping hand, not a slap in the face. After being assured by Zophar that there was no hope for Job unless he would acknowledge his sin and repent, we can immediately see that Zophar was not in Job's situation. From Job's point of view, his future was bleak. Upon reflecting as to how disappointing his friends had been, their posturing as judges with an assumption of knowing God better than Job not only was disappointing, but also frustrating, neither bothered to identify with him in his grief and pain, nor did they attempt to delve deeper. Not God's truth or Job's feelings. These forgers of lies, as Job called them, mainly stayed on the surface and avoided the difficult problems. Counseling that stays on the surface accomplishes very little. In the Job's encounter with his 3 friends, we understand that if we are going to help people, we must go deeper. But this demands love, courage, and patience.
Humankind born of woman has few brief years with much suffering. Like a short-lived bloom, it springs up only to wither. Like the brief shade gained by a fast-moving cloud, he passes swiftly. Lord, is this why you turn your gaze on such a creature, to bring me, a mere human being, alongside you for judgment? Who can take what is impure and defiled, to fashion something pure and pristine? No one. We are, after all, so different in nature. Since a person's life is fixed, you are the one who determines the number of his months, and you set a limit on the length of her life. And since they are incapable of exceeding your decree, the least you can do is turn your gaze away from him until they pass, so that he can enjoy his day like a hired worker. You know, at least there is a pound of hope in the tree. If it gets cut down, it may yet sprout again out of the roots. And very likely then, its tender shoots will not die. Its roots may age deep under the ground, and the stump appear dead in the dry earth. But even then, it needs only the merest whiff of water to bud again and put forth shoots, like a newly planted sapling. But not so with humankind. The noblest of human beings dies and lies flat. Humans die, and where do they go? Just as water evaporates from the sea and riverbeds go parched and dry, so humankind lies down and does not rise again. Until the day when the skies are done away with, humankind would neither awaken nor rouse from slumber. Oh, that you would merely hide me in the land of the dead and keep me in secret till your wrath is gone, until a time you decide when you might think upon me. If one dies, can he live again? Through these days of toil and struggle, I will patiently wait until my situation changes. You will call out, and I will answer you then, and you will long for me, the work of your hands, again. For then you would still count each of my steps, but not focus on my faults. My sins would be sealed up as in a bag, and my crimes you would carefully cover up. And yet while every crack in me is closely watched, the mountain will slide and erode as the avalanche steals its cliffs away. The water grinds its surface of stones, and the floodwater steals the soil away. This is how you wreck the hope of mankind. You continually overwhelm him and he dies. You alter his appearance and send him away. If his children rise to honor, he does not know it. If they sink to humiliation, he is unaware of it. He knows only this: his body feels agony, and his soul grieves.
Well, his mood shifted in that, didn't it?
He was, you could feel this wearing on him. I love him talking about the tree, how it, the merest whiff of water, how a tree sniffs out water. And we hear that in the Psalms.
I've got an example of that in my front yard. I have been cutting that tree down year after year after year, and it's still,
Or crepe myrtle.
our crepe myrtle,
Yeah.
it still keeps coming up year after year.
It's resilient,
Oh, it's very resilient.
as we should be. But you can just feel the weight of his situation and the lack of support of his friends, just being so burdensome on him. All right, any comments?
Yes.
Chelsea, feel free.
I'll take notes.
I have a question about, is it verse 12. It looks to me like the second and third line might be an addition by a scribe. And I say that because you say this is the oldest book in the Bible. And I'm not sure that someone of that age would even have an inkling of resurrection. This is the first time I've seen it in this book. So it looks to me like, until the day when skies are done away with, humankind will neither awaken nor rouse from slumber. That just sounds like that's an addition.
Throughout the Old Testament, you find this where they write about the uncertainty of what happens after death and the sleep. And this kind of and the book of Job has been amended over the years by different people. I mean, what we have now is not what was originally there. It has been added to. But I just take this as one of the things that we have that feeling of immortality. It's in all of us that we are going to continue on. But this is one of the questions that they always had was, what happens? What will come next? So I'd have to look at that a little bit closer to make sure. But it's just, this runs consistent with what you see in throughout the Old Testament. I mean, it's in the Psalms that we are going through on Tuesday morning. Well, I'll get it right here in a minute, Rick. But we hear that in the words of the psalmist about what happens. So I'll look at it. All right. Any others? Chelsea, long ago, you talk about acting. I did a series of tapes for the legislators. I was the voice of unreason. I worked with Thad Epps, and Thad was the voice of reason, and he would give me all of the good things, and I was just to shoot holes in every one of them. And we were at Charlie Cooper's studio, and he cut in one time and he said, "You are supposed to lose this discussion. Stop arguing." He let me feel like I was winning. He said, "Stop studying this." Those were fun. I still have some of the tapes. They're available for
In the lobby.
After the meeting.
Oh, good. I do. I miss working with that. That was a very intelligent man. And, when we go to functions, that's how he would introduce me. He's like, "Well, here's my voice of unreason."
Yeah,
Did you know Thad Epps?
I don't know the name. But
Yeah, he was more of I wouldn't call him a lobbyist, but he worked with the West Virginia Manufacturers Association.
That's lobbyist.
They don't call themselves that, and back then they didn't. They had a nicer name. All right,
Are we ready?
15. Well,
Eliphaz is back for her second round of speeches. The fire becomes hotter as the three friends focus more on proving Job wrong than on giving him help. This shouldn't come as a surprise to us, because after all, it was their peace of mind that was at stake, and they were not about to surrender. If Job was not a sinner being punished by God, then their understanding of God was all wrong. An anonymous wit once described a theologian as, quote, a blind man in a dark room searching for a black cat that isn't there and finding it, end quote. A true theologian walks in the light of God's revelation in His Word, in history and in creation. Job's three friends were not true theologians because they only saw one side of the picture, the side they wanted to see.
Okay. Does a wise man reply with windy knowledge and fill up his belly with the hot east wind? Does a wise man reason with impotent chatter and with bankrupt words of no account? Indeed, Job, you have ignored your responsibility to revere God and depreciated your own thoughts toward God. For your faults inform your speech, and your language is tricky. Your own mouth condemns you, not I, and your own lips volunteer as witnesses against you. Were you the firstborn among men? Were you introduced to the earth before the hills were conceived? Were you allowed to listen in on the deliberations in God's assembly? Do you imagine all knowledge to be confined to you and you only? What do you know that we don't know? Do you have an understanding that has somehow eluded us? We have gray hairs and elders among us, weighed down with years, heavier than your father. Do you find God's many comforts too meager? His gentle speech to you too mild? What has stripped you of your reason, carried away your heart? Why do your eyes flash with anger so much that you unleash your spirit and spray out such speeches against God? What is humankind that people would be considered pure? And among those born of women, who could possibly be innocent? If God refuses to trust even His holy attendants, even if even the heavens above are impure in His eyes, then how much less regard must He show for humankind, who is base and corrupt? Or for Adam's children, who drink sin like water?
Genesis 6, verses 1 through 4, tells the strange story of God's own heavenly messengers procreating with beautiful human women. Such a union was obviously forbidden, possibly because it endowed the children with eternal life based on God's response to the situation, limiting the lifespan of humans to 120 years. As Job has revealed, these heavenly messengers are with God all the time. They do His bidding. No one could possibly know His rules better than they do or have more motivation to follow them, yet they still chose to disobey God. Eliphaz's point is clear. No human could possibly claim to be above the temptation to sin when God's heavenly envoys are not.
I will tell it like it is, so listen. I'll recount what I have seen, the very things that knowledgeable men have declared, and which they do not hide, that they heard from their fathers, to whom the land was granted long ago when no foreigners were among them. The wicked man endures misery his whole life long, and many years of sorrow are stored up for the ruthless. His ears are assailed by the sounds of terror, but when he's finally at peace, the destroyer seizes him. Unsure that he will ever escape darkness, he lives ever conscious of the sword. He wanders aimlessly in search of food. Where is it? He is thrown out like food for vultures. He knows all the while that the great day of darkness is imminent. He is addled by strain and anxiety, terrified. He will be overwhelmed as if by a king about to descend on his enemy in war. For he raises his fists to God and acts arrogantly like a hero against the highest one. He runs at him, headlong, headstrong, and he leads his charge behind the thick protection of a massive field. Strong and healthy, he has nourished himself well prospered until his face and thighs are pleasantly fat. He lodges in evacuated towns and empty houses unfit for habitation, in buildings condemned to rubble and ruin. He will never be rich, his wealth will not be lost, nor will he have possessions enough for any to put down roots. He will not manage to escape from darkness, as it scorches like tender branches that will wilt the flame. He will blow away like the breath of his mouth. Don't let him fool himself. If he trusts in the emptiness of his vanity, emptiness will be his reward. Before his time is up, it will be finished, and the branches of his trees will never leaf out. He will be like the vine that drops its immature grapes, and the olive tree that sheds its own blossoms. Oh, the gathering of the godless is unfruitful, and fire consumes the tents of those who pervert justice by giving bribes. Their intercourse uses only the conception of misconduct, the birth of sinfulness, and their wombs only carry only lies to terms.
All right. Questions?
Nephilim,
Huh?
the Nephilim, is
Okay.
that where that, is that what they're referencing there, is the Nephilim? When the heavenly beings come down and procreate with the beautiful women?
Yeah.
Or is it the heroes? I don't remember which.
I got an answer to your first question.
Okay.
It's how it was read. Let's see what this is. How dare they say something about gray-haired people? Okay, if we reread, to go back to 14 real quick. We gotta go back to verse 11. Because this feeling of rising again was later on in the biblical one.
Right.
But if you go back to verse 11 in chapter 14, just as the water evaporates from the sea and riverbeds go parched and dry, so humankind lies down and does not rise again. So he's saying that we're not going to be like water and rise up and then come back again. So that's poetry, acting.
The last verse on 15:35, the poetry in that, that's what I was stuck on. In Job 15, verse 35.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. And even with the Psalms, they didn't have a phone to say, let me show you the picture.
Mhm.
They painted those pictures. And they painted them very beautifully.
Wow, that's really neat.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So 15. From the Hebrew Bible, it says, untimely he will wilt, and his boughs will not be green. He will shed his unripe fruit like a vine, and cast off his bloom like an olive tree. For the crowd of the tainted is barren, and fire consumes bribery's tent. Pregnant with wretchedness, giving birth to crime, their belly prepares deceit. Boy, that sounds a lot different. Those Hebrews,
Well, and the voice tries to add quite a bit.
yeah, they,
I mean,
and if for you King James people, any italicized word in the King James Bible is a word that has been added for content and
Clarity.
clarity, contextuality. Anytime you see an italicized word, that's what that is. They say, the voice is saying that they are very close, but there again. the Hebrew, Aramaic words, they had, just like English, they have words that sound very, very similar, written very, very similarly, and just one little tit or tittle can change the whole word. Now let's see what it says here in this one. So Eliphaz in 14 says, like a vine without grapes and a dying olive tree, a reprobate dies prematurely, thus losing his hope for affluence and security. Nor, said Eliphaz, will the godless have children. And an unjust, in 16, and an unjust person accepts bribes, thereby favoring some and mistreating others, will have his tents burned. In 17, using the figure of conception and childbirth, he said that wicked people are characterized by trouble, evil, and hardship, and deceit. By affirming that all these mishaps come to wicked people in this, Eliphaz did not have all the facts. His attempt to jolt Job into repentance failed. What friends? I bet he went out and like, is this the best I've got? I need new friends. What?
Yeah, did you answer Chelsea's question?
Well,
I didn't have, I was just putting out.
You're just talking about the poetry.
And I thought, wait a
I read that. I read it from the Hebrew Bible right here.
I thought, wait a minute, I didn't hear
I mean,
it.
it's just taking it back to what the Hebrew says, okay?
Okay.
You move up here, up here. Job has parts he needs
Okay,
to read.
sorry.
Any other? Why is it, Janie, everyone who sits next to you, other than Tom,
I have that effect.
you have that
Tom's had years of,
torment,
well,
suffrage?
yeah. Years of
I
practice.
love this character assassination.
That's all you can eat, character assassination.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what my Marine friends said. They don't wanna go there, do they, honey?
Behave.
Not on live TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of you watching right now, you see what I deal with. Please come and join us. I need the support.
Especially if you're Hebrews. Yes.
Huh? What?
I said especially if you're Hebrews.
Did that your comment?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're good.
Again, it's just
Thank you.
I'm just giving up on this. Anyone else other than this table?
We didn't answer my question about the Nephilim or
I'd
the
have to look
heroes.
that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Okay.
I'll have to look that. Research it.
All right, are we ready?
We're at 16. Job 16. Wish you were here.
Hold on just a moment for some reason.
And we're separating, 17 will be next week, just out of consideration of Job's voice.
Job says, thank you, mucho.
In chapters 16 and 17, Job is exhausted, and his response is to utter three heartfelt requests. First, a plea to his friends for sympathy in verses 1 through 14, saying that if they were in his sandals, they would be able to identify with his situation and treat him with more understanding. Then a plea to God for justice in verses 15 through 22. And finally, a plea to God to end his life and relieve him of suffering. We'll see that next week in chapter 17, verses 1 through 16.
All the things from you sound the same. You are all terrible as comforters. Have we reached the end of your windy words? Or are you sick with something that compels you to argue with me? If we were to trade places, I could rattle on you as you do. I could compose eloquent speeches as you do, and shake my head smugly at you and your problems. But I believe I would use my words to encourage you. My lips would move only to offer you relief. And yet I am not you. You are not me, and my words are of no real use. When I speak, my pain is not relieved. If I remain silent, it does not go away. God has drained me utterly. He has made those near me desolate, killed my family and my servants. You have shriveled me up. My withered form stands as a witness against me. My body, haggard and thin, testifies to my face. In anger, he hunts me down and tears at me. In rancor, his teeth grind on my flesh. His eyes are locked on me like a foe, eager to destroy still more of me. My foes taunt me, their mouths gape in derision. They slap my cheek in disgust, and they conspire against me. God has forsaken me to young thugs, and flung me into the hands of evildoers who lie in wait for me. I was living a good life, a quiet, peaceful life, when he began to beat on me. He throttled my neck, tore me apart, and then propped me up at the far end of the field, making me a target. His archers have now gathered around me. In cold blood, he splits my belly open and spills my bile on the earth. He charged like a soldier storming a stronghold until my walls were breached, broken down one after another.
Job, in his despair and frustration, responds as he and his friends have been taught by previous generations to display grief. By donning sackcloth and covering the head with dust to show devastation, as if everything has been lost, even to the point of death.
Well, I have sewed the sackcloth to my very skin and buried my mighty forehead in the dirt. My face, red and hot, boils over in tears. The shadow of darkness lies heavy on my eyelids, no matter that my hands are free of violence and my prayer is pure. O earth, do not conceal my blood, and when they seek to silence my cry, refuse a place for its burial. Look, even at this very moment, my witness is there in heaven. My advocate is seated on high. My only friends scoff at me. They persist in mocking me. Even now, my eyes well up in tears to God. Appealing to God as a mere man, as a human being might for the sake of his friend. Only a few years left now, and I will go down the path from which I cannot return.
Poor fella,
Yeah.
poor fella.
So his ashes, the ashes that he's sitting in is from burning dung. Jim got out what he needed to get out there, didn't he?
Verses 2 and 3 really, that was hilarious.
But I like if we were to trade places, I could rattle on as you do. That again is showing that his friends, they're not sympathizers. They are standing there, as they said, smugly looking at his problem, wondering how his problems came to be. So that teaches us I'm sure there's a noisier cart that she could have pulled down that hallway. So what does this say, hearing Job's friends, what does it say to us? and when we go alongside of, come alongside of someone.
Better to say nothing at all than,
That's right.
than what they're saying.
And what they're saying.
Yeah, if you don't have anything good to
You
say.
say, don't say.
Don't say anything.
They were doing well during the 7 days they didn't speak to her.
Mm.
When they didn't have anything to say, they didn't know what to say. And then when they chose to speak, they let their opinions get in the way of sympathy or empathy.
And they were making assumptions that,
Many of them.
yeah, that were not founded, that had no evidence for.
The only one who spoke bluntly was Job's wife when she said, "Won't you just curse God and die?" But the others have a roundabout way of saying
That
it.
was always the answer. When something bad happened to a family, it's because of somebody's sin.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, even the
That was their
disciples,
only answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the disciples, when they saw what happened, what sin did this man's family commit that he was born blind? And it, you know, it continues all the way through the Bible.
And even today, when we see someone in really bad straits, a lot of times our thoughts do not go to what circumstances caused this man or woman or family to be in these straits. It's why can't they take care of themselves? Or, you know, what did they do? They must be on drugs, they must, you know, that sort of thing.
Can't they buck up and
Right, yeah, exactly. After all, I did it, you know, why can't someone else? And that's a trap that we have to watch ourselves.
But it's easier. The other trap that we have is categorizing things. Once we categorize something, then we're done with it. We've made our judgment, and then we can proceed. So we have to be careful with that as well.
That's why it's so humbling to be a foster parent, because you always want to put yourself in people's shoes and try to think, why would they do that? What made them think they could do that? But you just can't, you wrap your head around some of these parents' mindsets. You just have to stop back and reflect and think, okay, I can't identify with this, but I can only sympathize and do what I can to help.
That would just consume you if you allowed it to.
Mm-hmm.
Ever thought about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you put them in a better place, providing for them in a better place. You ever thought about ministry? You got part of it already with theater.
I write, produce, and direct though.
Oh, okay.
I don't stand up and act.
But it just, when we see someone on the side of the road, what do we think?
Scam.
Scam, they're there, why they're there? I bet they're there just for money, for drugs, or for.
you see her as money grab,
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
an attorney who liked the platform.
There you go, what do you think? And Monty's a fellow Pirates fan too. Yeah, Monty would wear his Pittsburgh Pirates uniform if opening day was on a Sunday.
It never is though, is it?
No, but if the opening day weekend, he would wear his, and if he went to the hospital to visit, he'd have his Pirates on opening day.
And they put him in the psych ward.
Yeah. I just don't have that many answers to all the questions of what has happened since 1992. I don't know. Bad trades,
Two owners.
two owners.
Chelsea said
You
she
know
was
you're
2
still
years
wild.
old.
Well, thank you very much, Chelsea. I'm just glad to know that when I was suffering with the Pirates, you were 2 years old. So I'm not even gonna go back to 1971
Nah.
when we beat
Let's
the
leave it
Orioles
off.
for the World Series.
Well, we've always are able to look up because there's always Cleveland.
That's right. Okay. Hey, thank you all for joining us. We'd love to have you here. I need help. But we would love to have you here. We'll give you a part to read, or if not, just follow along with us. Again, we're coming from the Voice translation. It's easier to read.
And ask those questions online, we can answer them
Yeah,
right away.
if you have questions, just type them in and we'll do our best. I was telling them I was watching, listening to a podcast of a gentleman who goes to college campuses and just speaks to the students about, about God, about salvation. He said when he first started, his most common answer was, I don't know. And he says as he got together with other people to talk about the Bible, like we're doing here, to read Scripture and to study it, and to how he grew stronger and grew more knowledgeable. And that's why we're here. That's why we do Bible studies. That's why we get together on Tuesday morning at 10:30, and on Wednesday at 6-ish. Ish. It's whenever I can get this crowd under control. But that's the purpose of it, is for us to come together, to ask questions, to talk about it, to discuss it, and to grow strong. Not everyone has all the answers, even me. So that's why we ask questions, so we can look at us and grow stronger and grow smarter. So thank you for joining us. You have a great week. We hope to see you Sunday morning at 9:30. We will be talking about the Great Commission out of Matthew. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Take care.